Hi there, welcome to my latest edition of my 10-minute rant. And the topic of this rant is about Humza Yousaf's Scottish Islamic Foundation and the £405,000 he got off the Scottish Government back in 2008. Now before carry on, just to clarify, there are a few stories in the mainstream media about this. That's not the information I want to share with you. And there's also some talk in the ether from non-mainstream about connections that Humza's cousin has, who was founder along with him of the Scottish Islamic Foundation. It's not what I'm here to discuss either. What actually drew my attention to this in the first place was, however, the mainstream media recent coverage of what they were terming cronyism about the £405,000 that was given by the Scottish Government to Scottish Islamic Foundation. And their story caught my attention, started doing some digging of my own. And basically what that was, their stories were about, where this £405,000 issued to the Scottish Islamic Foundation was actually subject to some questions at Parliament, I believe by Labour MPs at the time, back in 2008 or 9, whenever they had got wind of it. And these papers have recently been released to the public, and a couple of newspapers have jumped in and written stories about them. What their stories were revolving around was the fact that the Scottish Islamic Foundation directors consisted of Humza Yousaf, who was a party aide at the time, his cousin, party aide at the time, another two of his cousins, who I don't know their jobs at the time, if any connections at all with the Scottish Government, but so there's Humza, three of his cousins, and a lady who went on to be his wife, who was his partner at the time. So that was the reason that the mainstream caught on to this amazing round of funding that was given out back in 2008. So that set my wee curious mind going, and I didn't know too much about this Scottish Islamic Foundation, so started digging about the internet, and I sourced two places. There's only two sources that I've used as resources for my digging, and that is the ScotGov website, which shows all FOI replies, and Companies House. So I'll tell you what I found, and I'll put the documents up on the screen when I'm editing it, and once I make it live I'll put links in the comments or the description, giving you guys links to the two sources of information that are publicly available that I've managed to use. And this is just a wee daft thing that annoys me. None of the mainstream media people who were doing these stories, fair play to them for running the stories in the first place, but 10 extra more minutes and you could have had even bigger stories. However, what I've came across in the Freedom of Information response, which was dated the 15th of September this year, just a few months, last year now, I beg your pardon, we're now 2024. So about 4 months ago, there was a Freedom of Information response, which the question was asked to provide all correspondence between the Scottish Government and Humza Yousaf regarding this £405,000 of funding that the Scottish Islamic Foundation had received back in 2008. And there's a few pages, it doesn't take you long to go through it. But in those emails, there was three things that just jumped out at me, and I thought were fascinating, and I want to share those with you. And then a document from Companies House, and the whole thing is just stinking, right, when you piece it all together. So on an email dated the 18th of March 2008, Humza had asked if there was more money that he could get for the foundation. More, right? You need to listen carefully here. More money he's asking for on the 18th of March. And it centred around, apparently there was excess money for the year before. So he was saying, look, I know this money's available, can I have some? And the response he got from an unnamed Scottish Government official, because their names are redacted to save their privacy, happy to provide extra resources. So can I have some more money? The answer was happy to provide extra resources. But you'll need to get an application in soon because payments need to be processed by the 26th of the 3rd. So what this Scottish Government official is telling Humza is, yes, I'll give you more money, but you'll need to put an application in first. Sort of bypasses the whole application process, doesn't it? I'll give you the money, but don't, not said what it is for, not even put an application in, but I'll give you the money, happy to provide extra resources. Their words. They're in black and white. But you'll need to get an application soon because payments need processed by the 26th of the 3rd. This email is dated the 18th of March. And another keyword that you need to remember for further on in this video is extra resources, which would suggest they've already given resources to the Scottish Islamic Foundation prior to the 18th of March. Then, on the 18th of March also, on another email on the same date, Humza refers to the underspend that we've received. So this is the second confirmation that before the 18th of March 2008 they had received money. Two comments, two different emails, one coming into Humza for a Scottish Government official and one Humza sending, saying the underspend that we've received, the one prior, happy to provide extra resources, suggesting they'd already given them, all on the 18th of March. Then on the 17th of July, there's other correspondence. And bear in mind, this is key again to a separate issue. Sorry, Kush. Humza, I became aware of this information because it's subject to a Freedom of Information response. And in the Freedom of Information request, the guy, or lady who'd asked for it, had asked for all correspondence from Humza, who was working for the SNP at the time, on behalf of the SNP and the Scottish Government, for all email correspondence regarding him and the Scottish Islamic Foundation. On the 17th of July, there was a bit of correspondence about they were looking for emails or information in emails. I don't think I have the original email. I just kept the application. So on the 17th of July, information that I've got from a Freedom of Information request put in by a third party who are asking for all the emails, in that bundle of emails given to them, Humza has admitted that he's not kept some of the emails. Now, the correspondence he was asked about was about the stuff that was going on in the March. This is a July. So what's that? 3-4 months later, he's already binned the information. There's rules against these things about how long people have got to keep data. And this has been highlighted in a Freedom of Information request that nobody's really picked up on, which I find absolutely bonkers. However, that's the three things that I found out from the Freedom of Information request, from the email correspondences that they publicised. Then it gets a bit murkier, and the reason I kept saying remember the dates, remember the dates, remember the dates, because there was other things in the pilot data that was released about the funds. They eventually got the funds, by the way, and they got them on the 26th of March. It was all agreed you could have the money and whatever. Obviously a second tranche of money because the emails discuss a previous money. If you go into Companies House and you pull up the details about this Scottish Islamic Foundation, they weren't incorporated until 23rd of May 2008. But on the 26th of March we agreed to give them even more money, and the emails dated the 18th of March discuss previous money that they gave. Right? To a body that didn't exist until the May. How is that possible? How do these people, how can you go and apply, you're not asking for £100 off your local community council here. You're talking about what eventually turned into £405,000 worth of money. And you've received over half of that before the thing's even incorporated. Is that even legal? I don't know. I'm just a guy that doesn't like the SNP and a bit concerned about the future of Scotland and decided to do some rants. I'm not a journalist, a professional journalist, or an investigator, or an accountant here, or a lawyer. And I can find these things out in 10 minutes by using my phone and Google. It is incredible. And then what happened, this gets even more bizarre. By the end of 2010, I think it was, the Scottish Islamic Foundation ceased to operate. And the auditors resigned on the 16th of November 2010. And the letter telling the Company's House why they resigned is there in the public domain. And the reason that they resigned was because they hadn't been paid for the audit they'd done in 2009, which would have audited the business transactions 2008 get into 9. They hadn't been paid. This was the end of 2010. So the Scottish Islamic Foundation was created to do two things, and one of the biggest things was to have an Islamafest in Glasgow, which never happened. And I can't remember the other one. The other one was for some finance thing that never happened either. And they did return some of the money. Out of the 405,000, I think they returned just under 200,000 of it. So there's this 200,000 that's just disappeared into the ether that came from the Scottish Government to a thing, an entity that didn't even exist when the money was transferred, that when it was transferred had, who's now the First Minister of Scotland, who was an aide, I believe, from memory to the SNP when the money was paid, and a company, or a thing, the directors were him, his cousin Said, who was actually he actually went on to be he didn't win this seat, but he was up for election as an SNP candidate. His other two cousins, so three cousins full, and his girlfriend who became his first wife. This thing absolutely stinks. But that's only the tip of the iceberg, because that was me, non-journalist, non-investigator, non-lawyer, non-accountant, spending 10 minutes on the internet. So how bad is it? That's the tip of the iceberg stuff. I see claims about the Saeed fella, his cousin, and he's meant to have ties with Hamas or Al-Qaeda or whatever, some blooming Islamic fundamentalist terror group. I don't know. That's maybe a topic for another time. But this thing just stinks. And the way some of the work done, I'm happy to provide the extra resources for Scottish Government officials to him when the thing doesn't even exist. The application's not even been put in. It is frightening. But what will happen about it? I don't have a frigging clue, but I've got a good guess, probably nothing. But what would happen about it if this was somebody somewhere else in some other government, some other parliament? These crackpots would be wanting folk sacked and hung, drawn and quartered for, if this was a Westminster thing. God forbid, Boris Johnson had decided he wanted to have the Islamic Foundation of Scotland back in 2008 and took some money and it was never accounted for. And again, this is the other thing, because of the 2 years that they published accounts, they put in and applied for total exemption as a small business. So their accounts don't show where any money went. Their accounts just show a balance sheet. There is nothing there. Go and look. I'll put the links in the description. So there we go. Our Humza manages, him, his three cousins, and who became his wife, set up a thing, an entity, got £405,000 worth of funding to have an Islamafest in Glasgow that never happened. And another thing, I can't remember, some other bollocks thing that they dreamt up they were going to do and get even more funding. Never done any of it. They did, however, give some of the money back, but there's over £200,000 just disappeared into the ether. You and I have paid for it. And this was 2008, before he became the First Minister. Absolutely frightening, isn't it? So, there we go. More shite to throw at him. Don't let any mad separatist cult member be unaware of these things. Tell them. Share my videos if you want. Go out and get other resources that you can online and just throw it in their faces and stop these crackpots thinking these people are whiter than white. Better not say that when Humza's there. I'll be a racist next. I'm no racist. Humza Yousaf is an Islamic better not say the word fundamentalist there, because that might not be true. However, by speaking out against them doesn't make me a racist. It makes me a guy who wants the First Minister of Scotland to be held accountable and tell us what he's done in the past. So there we go. Share the word. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe and the notifications. And the most important thing, have a great day. Bye now.